You're watching Prime on my Media Prime. Dr. Ako John Ako, our brother who is also an Anglophone elite, is raising this question. Consequently, as a young Anglophone intellectual, I'm tempted to openly ask you all these questions. As remarkable events are unfolding in our society, what's the role of senior Anglophone intellectuals on the ground as far as ensuring a cessation of violence and a sustainable, peaceful settlement of the ongoing war? Yeah. What is their role?
They have a lot.
Are they as helpless as...
They cannot be helpless. They are even helpful. Yes. So what we are saying here is we will not equally ignore what maybe some of us have been doing already with Dr. Ngwanyam, and every time we have always be at the forefront. But our voices doesn't really count because we are not in that position of decision making. And I believe very strongly that if we should hear a statement for those who are vice president at the Senate, those who are equally members of Bureau at the National Assembly, it's going to give another new light. What I just said this evening, what people, maybe a lot of Cameroonians were not aware, is that when Estimuna was dismissed as in fact, the Secretary for Labour in Eastern Regional House of Assembly in 1954, we still need to read those stories because that's a pure and English system where people believe that we are there to protect the rights of the people we represent. How could people vote you? I mean, how many parliamentarians we have in Southern Cameroon? I don't want to say I'm giving them the idea, but I believe that if this group of persons should cease from one session, cease, don't even say anything. Tell Yaoundé, we are not coming forth for the next session until a solution is found in the Southern Cameroon problem. We are not telling the government in Yaoundé that we are joining those who are killing or those who want to secede. But we are saying that if a sincere solution is not found, we are no longer part of such an assembly. This is what Honorable Weber said sometime, that there is a need for us to show that we are part of a nation. You cannot be a citizen of a nation. You cannot have, your organs. The finger is paining and you concentrate more with the other 9 fingers. Then there is a problem. If we, up to now, for more than 5 years, we are unable to table the Southern Cameroonian pledge in front as an agenda of the National Assembly, of the Senate. We have seen foreign parliaments talk on behalf of the people of Southern Cameroon. It is a disgrace to the elite. I'm telling you that simple resolution taken in 1954 by Southern Cameroonian representative to the Eastern Regional House spare a lot of issues. They left the Eastern Regional House of Assembly as a bloc, and today we call them the benevolent neutrality bloc. They were not there. That until our own single representative is reinstated. You can imagine what has become today of the same person we call the role of the Prime Minister. Is there really a Prime Minister in Cameroon? Is there really the leader of government affairs in Cameroon as it was in the past? I could imagine the tussle between Ayijo and Foncha that got to the appointment of Estimuna as the Prime Minister at the time. I can imagine what took Ayijo in 1985 to write series of letters to the Presidency of the Republic. Why he or she was not comfortable. Do we have this elite? Were they intellectuals? Were they really intelligent? That's what I said. There's a difference between intellectual capacity or being intelligent and the know-how. There is a need for those who really represent Southern Cameroonians. Those who have voted, yes. The CPDM won in the Southwest with 100%, and in the Northwest, it was known there have been a lot of gentleman agreement between the CPDM party and some pockets of resistance of the SDF party in the Northwest region. Those the representatives. Whether you represent the CPDM, whether you represent the SDF or the CPP or whatsoever party, are you representing the people or you are representing your own very plight? You were made and elected to represent the witches. And I will not still insist. Several times, this gentleman, Senator Mbelamoki Charles, some of us we share equal platform. In his own opinion, he thinks and he feels, because he's one of the most junior in all Southern Cameroonian elite, that there is a need for the elites of that particular region to see sincerely whether the Southern Cameroonians have been treated fairly in this union for over 60 years. And if not, there is a role. They have a very strong role. A very strong role. Just imagine something that is going to happen, that the representative of the people of Southern Cameroon decide to hold a parliamentary session in Boya when the same session is convoked for Yaoundé? Can that give us something? Can that even cause Yaoundé to react? There will be no weapon. I mean, no weapon. We have a Prime Minister Lodge, which was known as the Prime Minister's office in Boya, which holds state affairs.
Are we talking of Southern Cameroon or the Northwest and Southwest?
Mr. Leo, you can put the name to suit the context under which I remain.
No, the representatives...
The representatives of Southern Cameroonians are the people in the Northwest and the Southwest. I need not get into such emphasis. We knew that very well. You can imagine that Nigeria celebrated its independence on the same day, 1st October 1961, and we have not seen gunshots. And it is a disgrace that our brothers in the far north of Cameroon who decided to join the Federation of Nigeria celebrated it in more convenient and quiet atmosphere. Okay. And that the same people on the same day who voted our own independent day has become 20th May 1972. What a fallacy. It is a complete disgrace and distortion of historical facts. We need to be honest. Dr. Ngwanyam said that. It is only honesty that will save us from all this mess. And we are not here claiming that there's a need to separate Cameroon. Talk to your brother, talk to your sister. Let them know that Cameroon is facing a problem. I'm not there with you, but you can imagine that something happened in the south and we were surprised that a mission was dispatched in the south within the less than 2 weeks. And solutions were made. Concrete solutions were made to calm down with the grievances of the people in the south. Mr. Lowe, I believe we are talking such sensitive issues here. When a country is not treated equally, there's bound to be differences, which have been in the cupboard for 60 years. This is the maturity period. But I believe honesty, intellectual honesty from the elites can bring us a push forward to stop this bloodshed.
Yes, we are talking about intellectuals and the elite of the Southwest and Northwest region. Dr. Nick Ngwanyam, there is so much division. Very difficult to find a caucus that is a platform where the elite talk from the same perspective.
Yes. I was reading something. I don't know where I read it. If you look at it on the surface, you wouldn't get it. But if you step back a little bit and go deeply, you will begin to understand the ramifications. And this thing comes from very far. It comes from very far. I didn't even know that, Mark Anthony has been here with his Pan-African thing and talking about colonization and so on. Sometimes when you are not too emotional and you try to understand it, then you can see how far those things go. I watched 2 videos on General de Gaulle. And it gave me an insight into the way the French think, those problems they had with the English and so on. And therefore, when you come to a country like Cameroon and you see the Anglophones and Francophones behaving, it's just that surface material. The real thing is how the French and the English have been bickering like that for long. So we are just vibrating at their frequency and not knowing who's pulling the strings. Now, and when it comes to training, I've had the opportunity of being trained in our university, and I've also had the opportunity of training in Anglo-Saxon universities. And the difference is that, when you train in a francophone university, you are meant to recite the information that you have been given, and then if you vomit it out, you get a pass mark. But when you train in an Anglophone university, you are meant to use your brain and to solve problems and to come up with solutions. And that's when you earn the mark. And then they try to make you practical and useful. But the way they have done it, so this kind of, because everything starts in the brain, it starts and ends in the brain. So they format you to just be a robot. You don't think past certain boundaries. And besides, if you think past certain boundaries is a crime, you are not allowed to think out of the box. And when you see the way they are trained, listen to the people, the francophones and the professors who come to talk on TV. Their minds are very closed, and if you were in a proper setup and you took them out of their line of reasoning and went, let's say, to entrepreneurship or to many other things, how to do this, how to do things, they'll be lost.
But Dr. Nick,
So-
should we really be talking about
It's-
these people and these people? at
No,
this
no,
time
no,
when
no,
we
no,
need-
no.
Yeah.
It is.
When we know that we have seen francophones who have excelled in job creations in Cameroon.
No. What I'm
One of
trying.
the biggest schools in Cameroon and industries are owned by francophones.
Yeah, no. Let me settle that.
Yeah.
Now, I'm trying to show you what is happening in the background.
Yeah, but
And then, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Some of the most industrious people in this country are Bamilikes. Take the Bamilikes out, and there's no Cameroonian. I mean, there's no Cameroon. I mean, let's. I'm just trying to give you a mindset. It's because the Bamilikes, as a people, think differently and work differently. They're not the typical francophone.
yeah,
They are not.
But tell me more about the Anglophone. elite.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm trying to show you how the Anglophone elite has come to be so meek. Yes, because most of us, wait a minute, most of us
I'm
went
not here
to,
preach divide
wait a
and
minute,
all that.
listen,
Do that.
most of us went to our university here. So we are formatted in that this thing. If you look at the Anglophones who studied in Nigeria or went abroad, they think differently, but when they come, the system absorbs them. It's very important to know that, because first we are just 1/4 of the nation, and many of our other brothers they went to America, Canada, and they stayed there. So the few who went to Nigeria, they don't have the critical mass. But the thousands of us who went to the University of Yaoundé, most of us, we are formatted in our thinking, and we were not given. So you were taught to just study this subject, write the examination, pass it, and then you are given a big paper. You have a first degree, you have a master's, you have a PhD, but it ends at paperwork. And then now comes the politics. And this
But
is
Dr. Nick, where
wait,
did you study, Dr. Nick?
well, to every rule there's an exception. Now listen. I would like to tell
Go
you
on,
that
go on.
when I was in primary school, I was selling firewood. When I was in CPC, most of them who know me, I used to take photographs. I used to be a photographer, taking and earning money. Even in Yaoundé, when I was a medical student, up to the 6th year, I used to run around with a camera. How many of those people did that? So it's about where you're coming from and who you are. So don't compare with me. Now, there's something I want to say. It's this politics. Now, when we had the CNU, whatever, everybody was kind of like, one party system. Then when the opposition came in, there was the SDF that came on board and was relatively very, very strong. I'm sure you can all attest to that. And then many of these elites were also in the SDF and so on. But after the political events of 1992 or thereabouts, the government started to hammer on the SDF. Many of those elites started to shy away. And then now, the people of the other elites of the southwest region who were co-opted into the government under the CPDM that started to woo their own brothers and to present, to play this scenario where, the evil ones were in the northwest and the good ones were in the southwest. And if you are a good one, you are supposed to be in the CPDM and don't cough and so on. So that has pushed a lot of people now. And the belly thing has become very, very important, because in reality, when you hear a lot of people who praise the president, and they are very empty. I think I've said it before that if you have noticed, a lot of people have stopped praising the president, because I've said it many times. Many people who praise the president appoints them to be able to do a job. They fail to do a job because they lack the capacity to do a job, and then they spend the time praising the president. And now, when it comes to giving an account, they have nothing to show. And the president was very angry about that. Do you hear anybody praising the president again? So that is the problem. This politics and so on. Maybe I've talked for too long and you could become even very confused. But that's the underlying factor.
Ati. No, I was asking the question where you studied was to also understand.
If you want to know where I studied, let's start. I went to primary school in Kambe, and I used to walk kilometers barefoot. no shoes. So I know what poverty is, and I knew I had to come out of poverty. Then I went to JMBC, went to CPC Bali, went to QS, went to Nairobi, went to England.
It also helps our audience to understand better. Yes, Atia Tilarious, you understand that there is a system that is preventing the elite, going by what Dr. Nick says, and the intellectual class not to be able to express themselves.
Well, I want to say that we must not undermine our own contributions, because some people are in the elite class, but they don't feel that they're in the elite class. Like I said, somebody like a mayor, a regional president, heads of the regional and local collectivities or local authorities that we have in the North and Southwest regions, who don't feel that they are part of the solution to the crisis. They think that the solution must come from a minister, somebody who is a minister. It must come from the prime minister. It must come from the head of state. No. The problems that we have in the North and Southwest regions, some of them are general, others are specific. The problem that you have in Kambe may not be the same problems that you have in Ikuna. And if you use the strategy of solving problems in Kambe and transpose and take to Ikuna or Munyenge, it may not yield the desired results. So it needs the local elite to get in touch with the people and see how they can contribute. When you look at somebody like Honorable Ngalajera, the skills, the techniques he's using to solve the crisis are different from the techniques that Honorable Stanley Mukondo of Fako East, Muyuka, Chiko, and Limbe, the strategy he's using in the Kona is not the same. So we of the elite have to come down to the field and use the local solutions. It's not about big grammar here and there and all of that. And when Dr. Ako says that we on the media who are speaking, himself, Mbangfo Ngwanyam and Professor Mark Anthony, cannot make the impact because they are not in high positions, that if a minister or a senator and such people who are ranking as such make the statements, things will be better. I say it is no, because we owe a duty to keep Cameroon as one. It is the duty of you and I to educate Cameroonians, because we have to educate the masses to understand that we have grievances that are established. There's most of the grievances government has admitted that at some point there were errors that were made, and government has struggled to make amends. So we have to remind the people we accept that there were problems, but that the solutions have come at this level, and this is what we must do. And the world is moving fast. We are talking about Pan-Africanism. I think Professor Mark Anthony knows better. Pan-Africanism, bringing Africa together as one bloc, for Africa to look like one country, for us to move ahead, because the larger the numbers, the merrier. And so we cannot be talking about Pan-Africanism. The world cannot be talking about globalization, the world becoming one village. And at the same time, we in Cameroon are talking about splitting the country, about going into splinters, I'm talking about separation. No. And it is wrong for some people to come on media and justify the fact that because there were grievances, people have to now take up arms and separate the country. We cannot always, even if you separate the country today, some of the problems that we're talking about will still exist in that new country people want to create. And this is what the masses should understand. And the masses also have to understand that the nation must not disintegrate for problems to be solved. And that the grievances that they had were correct, but the expectations were too high. People expected that on the, I think, 22nd of September 2017, that the UN was going to grant a resolution that gave independence to Southern Cameroon or Ambazonia, or what they're calling it, and that on the 1st of October 2017, the new state will be formed. The UN officials will come and cover everything, but that did not happen, and it has taken us from 2017 to now. It has taken us a long time. People have died. And no such thing is happening, and no such thing will happen. The people have to be educated. They have to be told that there are other objectives that we can attain. There are other things that we can achieve. And when you look at how far government has gone in the concessions, the elite should now come and tell the masses that you are asking for this, you are asking for that. Government is providing a special status. In this special status, this is how we can go around to get some of these things that you are talking about, some of these things about that you think that if you want autonomy, some form of self-rule and all of those things, we can go through the special status and get some of the benefits that accrue to it. We cannot keep on fighting forever, because when you keep on fighting, others are going. When the teacher said that there was need for more Anglophone teachers in our schools, government said they should recruit 1,000 people. And many of our brothers and sisters who are fighting said, no, anybody who applies to be recruited is a black leg and all of those things. And at the end of the day, we alienate ourselves. We keep ourselves out of the picture. And the same people we are fighting against are the ones who keep on taking the lead, and they are the ones to decide for us. So the masses, the population, should link up with their elite at the grassroots, be it the quarter heads, the traditional rulers, and see how they can reap benefits from the special status, from the measures that the government is taking, and avoid the situation where people have to die for things to happen. People must not die. People must not fight. People must not pick up arms to have jobs in this country. There are other alternatives. Dr. Nick has been talking about alternatives to job creation. Alternatives. The mayors should also be looking at these alternatives. We don't have to allow the youth to pick up guns before we start fighting. So I expected that even the youth who have not been radicalized to join the armed groups, they should be educated. They should be given enough information so that when somebody comes to radicalize them, they can understand better and instead convert that person that wants to radicalize them and make them into better citizens.
Professor Mark Anthony, can we today say that there is an Anglophone voice in Cameroon? Because when we talk, almost everybody is quoting the likes of Fonlon, the Batebi songs, the days. Who are our children going to be quoting?
I can boldly say they will be quoting some of us that are sitting here right now.
Okay.
Because if in they say in the country of the blind, one eye man is the king. So as long as we are making sure that we speak, we can become an example for them. Mm-hmm. It is unfortunate that
is there a voice that is when these people speak today in Cameroon, they say Anglophones have spoken.
Frondi stood up and fought for the people. They saw him, and at the end of the day, we have brought him down. We say he is the black leg. Cardinal Tumfo stood up and Tumi, I beg your pardon, wanted to try to bring us together. They ended up saying that. So we have a problem. We have a serious problem in identifying who can speak. But I'm sure that truth will always prevail even in the midst of what form of darkness. You see, the thing is that most at times we want to solve problems from the top. We see a tree, we are trying to kill the tree by cutting the branches. It will not die because what gives it life is the roots. And as long as the roots are healthy, expect the tree to grow back. So if we keep on, like for example, I heard Atia talking about special status. Special status is not the true solution to the problem we have in the Anglophone zones. Let's be sincere about that. Multi-party, whether it's multicultural, whatsoever, is not a solution. So when you look at it, it is necessary that those whom we have been looking up to as appointed or might be elected representatives of our own zones, they should be the ones to talk to power. This is the truth concerning our area. But here we are talking about their silence because they are not talking. Why are they not talking? We have intellectuals who have schooled enough. They know the history of.
They have been in university for the past 30 years.
They have been lecturing for years. They have facts and details concerning this issue, but they are unable to present this truth to the people, not to talk about even the government. So the question is, do you think that when we stay silent, when you stay silent with all this baggage you carry, how will the future look like? The children whom we seem to be talking to them in class, and when they expect to see us act, we stay mute.
When will the children be quoting you?
Where would they quote you? Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, they will look at you like a coward. I mean like a coward, because they will say this guy taught us this. But when we expected him to show it, he was not there to show it. And so what are you doing? You are instead making those children to become those children to become cowards too. So look at this. If our lecturer, our professor, our doctor could not say this, then what about me? And so they stay quiet. And so we have a problem of individuals, I think, wanting to use these words. We have pseudo-intellectuals in Cameroon. Why I use that word pseudo is because they seem to be intellectuals, but they have not presented themselves as that.
Okay.
Look at it. When you go back looking at what Dr. Nick, because I was listening to him keenly, I wanted to pick out what he was pointing out. Our system of education has a lot of impact on the way we present our thoughts. But it's unfortunate that there are individuals who have schooled out of Cameroon, schooled in that Nigeria Dr. Nick talked about, schooled in the UK, and they have come to Cameroon, but they still do not have the capacity to talk. What has happened with them? Mm-hmm. The system, like you mentioned, swallowed them.
Okay.
And because we have a system that has the capacity to make you disappear, nobody is willing to disappear. And so they are just afraid. And I will tell you, if we keep on with this fear, we will end up destroying our own people more. And not only our people, I mean this country. So I think it is time for truth to be told to power, because if truth is not told to power, the country will keep on burning.
Okay. Good evening, Leo. It's Joseph from Boya. What special status are you talking about? Is Cameroon problem special status? How can you explain to the local man in the street about special status? We raised this issue last time, asking why the elected officials themselves are not. It comes back to this. They have been elected. They have been taken power. Why don't they even come on TV or go to the streets to explain what they are? Yes. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Okay, let some people not bring this old unproductive rhetoric of stating that Anglophones are intellectually superior while Francophones are not. It's a counterproductive complex that Anglophones have won all along, which makes them think that they should be given all they ask for. In a nutshell, Anglophone intellectuals are not outspoken because the so-called struggle is a pipe dream. All the intellectuals who enter the struggles are systematically sidelined. Agbobala, Wilfred Tassang, was already grumbling before he was arrested. Bobga Harmony, Weber, and so on. The list continues. Kadinatumi, Simon Munzu, Ofrunzi, Eli Smith, and so on. It's a blind dance that cannot be led. Okay. Now this one says, please ask the man talking to define special status and effort made by the government to stop the ongoing crisis, if not fake promises. Okay. Frank, this one says, good evening, Mr. Liu. Please ask Mr. Atia with who does he owe the duty to keep Cameroon one and indivisible. Okay. Franco is writing from. More grace to you, Mr. Liu. Doctor is confusing us today. I'm for writing from Bamenda. Hello, good evening to everybody. I love what you're talking about. Okay. Yes. Dr. Ako, we're talking about, he raised an issue that I went to school, primary school, went to secondary school. We talked about history. The students who are studying history in universities, we have dons in this domain, but we've heard very little from them to tell the people, because the history that is being circulated today is told by just anybody. Where are the historians? We're talking about the intellectual.
Yeah, when you talk of historians, I believe you have on your platform a very huge intellectual, Professor Julius Ngo.
Yeah, he was on the point yesterday.
Yes, and again, we have Vivaka Fanso. They can better clarify also a lot of issues. I remember I read a book written by Professor Julius Ngo about the untold stories about Cameroon independence. Yes, and somewhere he analyzed why a government like Cameroon consistently concentrated on the change of name of a nation. And I'm telling you that that's the beginning of the problem. The change of name of this country has brought us more evil than it has ever happened in under regime. What we have here, I will tell you that the students too have been quoting. I believe several times we have quoted Wibaye when he said the problems that are affecting this nation, Southern Cameroonians are the problems that will bring down this nation.
Yeah, but where are our historians?
Yeah, that is what I'm saying. I say you have them on the platform, and a lot of them, you have been inviting them in 1 or 2 outings. What we are telling you is that a Southern Cameroonian intellectual has reduced himself to a servant, not knowing that when you are given a certain certificate, you have autonomy to defend your opinion wherever you are. And this is honesty. This is honesty. We have no right to beg on somebody when you express your view or your opinion. When you see the response and the counseling others are giving, like people will praise that special status. You find somebody making statements for over 15 minutes, praising and putting special status as one that will solve an entire Southern Cameroon problem. You ask the person again, the question generally asked in the special status, when are governors going to give power to the elected president of the regions? We are waiting that timeline. Somebody will tell you that since the time was not mentioned in the law, this is the situation in Cameroon. Time was not mentioned, so it can be any time 100 years after. When will mayors take over their cities rather than having prefects or SDOs and DOs? We need to see clarifications, answers within what you call the special status. We have said this is an empty, a bag without a content. And several times, the Prime Minister has praised it several times. And many intellectuals are telling you, the Prime Minister came to the Southwest, we were told. Is this time for us to be telling stories? 5 years after, it's not a story or a merrymaking ceremony. We need to write what we have done and what we are to do tomorrow so that people will have a mind of coming back to the table. There is a need for us to accept that whether military or the Amber Boys, most of those who are dying are Southern Cameroonians. Can I, in my own position, stop this bloodshed? Can we stop the fighting? Can we get back to normalcy? A lot, I will tell you, people will not believe, is that when we wrote in Fuban, that Article 47 told us that the form of the state shall never be tampered with. But it happened that in 1972, they tampered with the form of the state. They tampered with a lot of institutions that were there, and that the French part of Cameroon in many times reduced Southern Cameroonian to a simple position, 60 years after independence, to a simple position of first minister. I don't know how we'll call prime minister again, because the guy is first minister. He went to Boya preaching a message of peace. Another agent from the same republic went to Bamenda with another message, how military should strengthen his forces on the ground. At the time, we were thinking that military people were supposed to be called off the streets and get back to the barracks so that we can start saying that the peace the prime minister is bearing, the peace that the prime minister went to Boya is a reality. We are saying...
Dr. Aku,
yes.
Let's take a short break. It's time for... let's take a short break. We are coming right back to continue, please.
Okay.
For that break, you were going to learn on what historians have been able to tell us so far. But we've not heard much from them.
Yeah, we have heard. I said that I was just expressing my opinion. I said we have. Because when people have written opinion which are recorded and stored in libraries all over the world, it means that they have expressed their mind already.
No, but
except now at the time.
They said that if you want to hide something from Africa.
No, say for a Cameroonian.
Yes.
It is not the world at large. For Africans too. Yes. Those who are not reading.
You hide
maybe
in the book. So how many people really go to the library?
Yes, what I'm saying here now. What I'm saying here now.
This moment where people want to hear, they want to really get what is happening.
At times too. You know, those of us who are talking here, I'm not defending them. But what I'm telling you is that if I'm on this platform today and I'm telling you that I read a book written by Professor Victor Julius Ngo on the untold stories about Cameroon independence, where he is sitting he means his opinion has passed already. But by a literary right, we are supposed to be updating. I don't know how many books maybe Dr. Ngwanyam is reading on a daily basis. I don't know what platform he consults on a daily basis, but it is a right for us to be informed. We are not to be told. That is why most often, even those of us who are on platform, you can understand the capacity of each and everyone. How informed you are is what gets us to where we are here now. And Southern Cameroonians, I said they are making an opinion. You cannot deny that we have a lot of Southern Cameroonians who were in Harvard, others went to Cambridge, others were at Michigan, and all they came back. A lot of them are loitering the corridors of ministries and even the presidency. As experts, we mean they become experts. When we go to borrow loan, when we go to investigate those who want to take power in Yaoundé, when we move around to see who launder which money for what, to get one crime on the person's head, because speaking the truth, a lot of the intellectuals are there. Somebody will tell you that we don't lack anything. But one thing which comes is fear of what I'm eating today. If I should come out now, will I continue eating? Those that were there, that are not still eating, are still unable to talk because they are still afraid that there is still hope. If I'm not appointed today, I will be appointed tomorrow. But I don't think it merits an intellectual position for you to see your people being killed. For us, at the time we are seeking solutions, like we have been saying, others are mute. They will tell you that it is better to stay quiet than to even go and talk about the system. If you cannot praise the system, just stay quiet. People have been, in fact, sent out of the CPDM role or executive or committee or parliaments because they expressed an opinion. I'm not saying maybe they are too good, but I believe one of the oldest Cameroon magistrate, like Magistrate Atia Tilarious, made his own role throughout this crisis. You remember, you quoted people like Tumi. We cannot reduce them into the streets.
Doctor, let her know.
No, what I'm saying here is that these people, I don't know what you are thinking.
But those people are not historians. I'm talking about historians.
No, what is history?
You are quoting.
Yes, I might be talking here from an historical perspective,
okay,
but that content which I have originally was not historical.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, Karina Tune is talking to Cameroonians. If Dr. Muzu is an intellectual, he has spoken here several times. He has given his plan of the way out. We have somebody like Aboy Machoy, who we don't even know where he grew up or where he spent his time. The fact that he was civil administrator in Southern Cameroon, when this crisis started, he gave his opinion. But then, knowing what we are having, I don't know, and I don't want to use it, but that the system in Cameroon is made of a system of vampires. Okay. And that those who stand against vampirism for the sucking of blood are always considered as enemies. And they go after you and they reduce you to nothing. That is what some of them become. The All Anglophone Conference was never held, even when that was done by a clergyman. We are John, Mr. Leo, please, just honestly.
Dr. Oko, you've spoken for 20 minutes.
No, what
Before
I'm saying.
The break and after the break.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that the intellectuals have expressed their opinion in books. Those in Yaoundé have read those books. Vifaka Fanso wrote interesting leaflets about Cameroon history. It's not a composition. Remember, too, there was a composition created in Yaoundé to rewrite the history.
Are we not in a democracy?
Do we rewrite history?
Dr. Oko, should others not also talk?
Okay.
Wow.
Leo, it's okay. I believe at times I become so sensitive when certain issues are raised. That's just my problem.
Okay. I'll continue quoting to you, Dr. Nick Ngwanyam.
Yes.
Brother who wrote earlier on, open letter to Anglophone intellectuals, university don, sir. You are a university don.
I'm an intellectual. I'm a useful intellectual.
Okay. He says that I keep wondering what's the use of all the knowledge we have acquired if we can't speak out for the uneducated people and ourselves to help influence the direction of our own political destiny in the nation. Now, speaking out for the uneducated, because you kept hammering on the fact that Francois has written those or that. Yeah, but they are written for the intellectual class. We are talking about intellectuals now molding public opinion. We have mothers who are watching us from Munya now, who are watching us from all the Yes, they will not go to the library to go read what you are saying. So the question here is, if we can't speak out for the uneducated people and ourselves to help influence the direction, so what is the essence of our being intellectuals?
Now, thank you very much. the person who has written the book, he talks about uneducated. I guess when you use the word uneducated, it doesn't really sink properly.
Okay.
What we have they are literate. Literacy. It's about
illiterate.
literacy and illiteracy. Literacy,
Okay.
able to read, but beyond the ability to read, you should be able to understand.
Okay.
Are you getting me? That understanding now, that's real education. And you have a lot of our mothers and so on who do not read, but they are educated. Oh, you understand? And to be educated and to be a useful intellectual means you have this baggage of knowledge that you put to the use of common good, that you use it for common good. So you could have 10 PhDs, but if you are not using it for common good, it's useless. It's really useless as the word useless, bold capital underlined. Now, let us step back a little bit and try to understand why knowledge, education, and whatever are important. If I were to ask you, what is wisdom? Defining wisdom is very difficult. It's just a couple of years back when I was in Bamenda that I listened to Pastor Chris, and he was defining what wisdom is, and he was using these big words, epignosis or something. Yeah, that's right. And then he broke it. This thing that we call wisdom, it sounds very complicated. He broke it up. All right. Yes, and he says there is, let me break it up for you. There's what you call information or knowledge. Information. If I tell you something, it's just information. You get knowledge about it. But now, beyond the knowledge, I can explain to you and then you get an understanding. That means deep. It is only when you have a clear understanding that you know the options of how to bring a solution. Is it making some sense? Now, but a lot of our education stays at acquiring knowledge and information, but we don't get understanding. Besides the fact that we even lack the character and we lack truth and many other things. So it's blocking us. And so when you have information or knowledge and you get a deep understanding, which was what Dr. Ako was talking about, reading the book so that you cultivate yourself and try to understand why things are the way they are, how things work, why people behave the way they do. You understand your environment. That cultivates you. You understand wealth creation. Why are the Chinese better than us? Why is this one? Why? You keep asking the why questions. They culture you. Then now when you have that baggage, then when you are faced with a problem, you choose a line of action from your quiver, and then you act on it. It is the action that if you act in a way that is efficient and doesn't waste resources and doesn't cause damage, that's you have acted wisely. So wisdom is being able to get information and an understanding and acting on it properly to solve problems without hurting others. That is wisdom. And once you understand this, then you will know why many of us are not being very helpful, because we will listen to the radio, listen to the TV for information, but we never go beyond the information to understanding and putting what we have understood in action. That's where the failure comes in. That's why Africa is not developing. That's why Cameroon is not developing. That's why we still have to go and bring Chinese and whatever colored people from all over to come and solve our basic problems, to carry our debt. In fact, a few years back when I was living in Yaoundé, it was a Frenchman that was going around Yaoundé city carrying debt with Isakam trucks. It's just unfortunate that the Chinese are taking over everything. So in a way, what we are calling intellectuals, whatever education, we are limited we have knowledge. And with big certificates, which says we have the knowledge, but we are limited in understanding and we are limited in solving problems. And even when we try to make an effort, we don't want to think out of the box. We don't want to go out of our comfort zone. And many people are just comfortable being a civil servant, comfortable being an employee. You can't do anything else. And it's the Bamilikes that have understood this and have gone beyond what we are saying. And before I give back the microphone to you, let me just say something before I forget. We have a lot of problems in Cameroon. And like Dr. Ako was saying, special status is not the solution. Major national dialogue is not the solution. It has a lot of flaws. And in the days ahead, we are going to be having a beautiful dialogue. There will be reconciliation and unity. And you are going to get your federalism. There will be West Cameroon and East Cameroon. Write that down.
Dr. Nick,
Yes, sir.
was that part of the question I asked?
But at
You
least
said-
I
you
have
said-
to give them comfort.
You said your question and answer it.
Yes, Namasa. Oh.
In examination, that's fair mark. Okay, Atia Tilarious, let me get over to
It's
you.
because
How
Atia
the-
Tilarious is confusing people with this special status. No, Atia Tilarious, stop confusing people. No.
Now, Tilarious, I'm quoting our intellectual brother who has written this letter to intellectuals. He says, I keep wondering what's the use of all the knowledge we have acquired if we can't speak out for the uneducated people and ourselves to help influence the direction of our own political destiny in the nation. Our seniors, especially the historians, political scientists, educationists, and legalists with impactful voices, afraid to also appear on this national TV political debates to tilt the stories of the realities they live on the ground as eyewitnesses, while also projecting a sustainable way forward. But before I get to you, if you are watching us, since we have issues streaming on our Facebook page, because there's seemingly no Facebook this evening and WhatsApp, you can go on, you can go on the Google Play Store. You download the Swecom Live TV application. Download it. Go to Google Play Store. Download the Swecom Live TV application. You are going to be able to follow us on social media. Just download it. Put Swecom on your application, and then you are going to get us. Tilarious, Atia, can we understand what is happening with our intellectuals?
Yes, like you said already, that there's a lot of fear in the hearts of the Anglophone intellectuals. They are scared of speaking up. Dr. Ako was saying a while ago that those in the CPDM, when you speak out, they ask force on you, and that is not true. We've had the likes of Honorable Ayapo Abine, well now Barrister Ayapo Abine, who was in the CPDM. He stood against party position several times, but then he was not asked. He voluntarily resigned from the party and created his own party. And later on, he has resigned from active politics. We have the likes of Dr. Nick Ngwanyam, who is on the platform there with you, who has been saying a lot of things. And he has not been dismissed from the CPDM. And my problem is with some of the elite, and even some of them who come on media, Anglophone elite, is that, and intellectuals, is that they try to make the Anglophone crisis and the solution to it seem like a CPDM problem. That the problem was caused by the CPDM, the solution should come from the CPDM. No. The problem in the Northwest and Southwest regions is a Cameroonian problem. This is a problem that the head of state, President Biya, had admitted exists, and solutions have been proffered. When somebody says that special status is not a solution in itself, that's an intellectual saying. Speaking on media, an intellectual who can read and write and understand, but then there are people who are following in the suburbs, in the backyard of the country, who may not have the luxury of laying hands on the special status document to read and understand and appraise it for themselves. So when we who can read and write and understand and have a mastery of the situation, we come on air and we say, okay, special status is rubbish, it is not a solution. There is no magic one to end the Anglophone crisis. It is a collection of solutions, one step after the other. It is these measures, when you put them together at the end, that would have solved the Anglophone crisis. The elite should be able to educate the masses. When you understand it, the intellectuals, the independent masses, the religious elite, the bishops, the imams, the independent voices, the likes of Christopher Tambetiku, human rights advocate, Abubala, human rights defender, and others, Tumfo Barrister Nico Hale, who's an international peace crusader. These are the guys who should come on board to educate the population. The population should not think that the Anglophone crisis is a CPDM problem, or that any solution that is being proffered is a CPDM solution. No. All of us as Cameroonians, we have to put our hands on them. And the intellectuals who are from Anglophone extraction should take charge of the situation. We cannot come on platforms or on media or on wherever we find ourselves, and we keep pushing the blame to other quarters. We keep pushing the blame. Oh, it's CPDM. Oh, it is the Biya government. Oh, it is this and that. Oh, is the prime minister really the master of government business and all of that? We are talking about a prime minister who is an Anglophone, one of our brothers who has studied, who is widely read, who has a lot of experience in diplomacy and other things, who is a consultant in international affairs. But because he's Cameroonian and he's from Anglophone Cameroon, we don't give him the respect. We don't give him the platform, the collaboration to see how we can find solutions to the crisis. The Prime Minister will be in Bamenda tomorrow. He was in Boya. Did Dr. Ako meet the Prime Minister or come to seek audience to present what he thinks the solution can be? Did Dr. Ngwanyam come to see the Prime Minister to present the solution? They did not. So we think that everybody at their level who has a solution or a document or some policy statement, intellectuals, they should come up. We cannot keep on hiding in the background and expecting others to do the magic. It is not possible. And we're talking about the likes of Poncha, the likes of Indele, Muna, Frundi. These are people who have contributed their own pattern to to take Cameroon to where it is. Cameroon is an experiment. We agree that there was Southern Cameroons and there was East Cameroon. They came together as one. And the time they came together to now, 60 years after, people have sacrificed. A lot has been done to construct this country to get to where we are. There's no perfect venture. So there's need for everybody to come with their block, their cement, and their effort to see how we can build this house together. So I think that the elite who are there in the studio, the intellectuals, they should educate the masses. That in the special status document, this is what we have. That when the teachers said that there were fewer Anglophones in Anglophone schools, government accepted. That there were Francophones who were teaching Anglophone children and they were not mastering the language of English to teach the children. Government accepted and transferred some of these teachers out of the northern and southwest regions. So when you ask yourself that what has government achieved, these are some of the things that have happened. That the lawyers complained that common law was being neglected, that people did not master common law, where judges in northwest and southwest, government admitted, and they have been able to transfer those who don't master the English in the common law system and bring in those who master English. They have been able to create a common law bench at the Supreme Court. They have been able to create a common law department at ENAM. They have been able to
recruit, Tilarious, I'll be coming back to you, Tilarious.
So the intellectuals should be able to educate the masses because there's a lot of anger in the hearts of Anglophones.
Okay.
And we cannot progress when we are angry.
Okay. Tilarious, I'll be coming back to you. But is this also an opportunity for a reflection of who a genuine intellectual is or an elite? Was this not the period for them to actually show and prove why persons have been looking up to them all this while?
Wow, that question is so pertinent. You know, it is in the midst of a problem that you know who can provide solutions. Mm-hmm. And we are in the midst of a problem, and those whom we believe that are enlightened are the ones who are supposed to shine the light. And if you are unable to shine the light in the midst of the darkness in which people find themselves, it means you do not have the light. So, to bring it in words like that others will understand, because like I'm speaking in parables, you can't claim intellectualism and when problems are presented before you, you lack solutions. You will be able to get into the box, bring out what you possess to solve that problem with. But that is the problem we have with most of our institutions in Africa, and particularly in Cameroon, where our institutions do actually inform and permit individuals to memorize, not to become independent thinkers. And as long as you are not an independent thinker, you will find it difficult to speak differently from what others are saying. It seems as if everybody has been put in a box and no one is willing to actually step out of the box to present another idea. And so we need to get back to the base. There is already a definition of who an intellectual is, an elite is. Get back to understand that, because if you do not understand that, the so-called elites, intellectuals, precisely in Cameroon context, has to do with political elites. When we talk, in fact, in Cameroon, when you talk of an elite, we only think of the political elite. And that is where there is a problem, because it's not because they elected somebody or maybe they appointed somebody in the government that the person has the capacity to deal with the problems in your community. Elites, I love what Atia said when he was struggling to show that you have local elites, you have educational elites, you have elites in different areas. But an elite of a community is an individual who goes back and works with the people to solve the problems of the people. And so when you consider yourself an elite of a particular community or group of persons, you should spend time with them. You should be able to understand their problems. You should be able to look for solutions for their problems. But that's not the case with Cameroon. That's not the case. So we have also individuals we have considered to be intellectuals, whom, like we use the word university dons. You can find them in corridors of different faculties, and you will find them in different amphitheaters dishing out information to young Cameroonian minds who are actually craving for knowledge. But the unfortunate aspect of it is when problems are found, the same individuals we call intellectuals cannot solve them. That is why in Cameroon you have a doctor who will pick up a placard and go to the streets to riot. That's to show you he lacks the capacity to solve problems.
He cannot help himself.
He can't help himself. And so you do not expect an individual who lacks the capacity to solve his own problem to speak for others. And so we have a serious problem in that direction. And so we need that education should be rightly brought back to perspective, because education is not memorization. Education is bringing out of you. Let me put it this way. The word education, I'll repeat it, comes from a Latin word educos, which actually means to bring out of you, to bring out from within. So when you go to school, you are supposed to be inspired to aspire. You are supposed to be provoked to bring out from within you what you possess. And so when you come to a community, what makes people believe that you are a true intellectual is your ability to provide solutions to the various problems that they are facing. And so when you lack that capacity, then we doubt whether you are an intellectual. And that is exactly what is happening in Cameroon, where we have individuals who have been schooled, they have been given certificates, but they lack the capacity to provide solutions. Okay. We practically lack intellectuals in Cameroon, but we have many schooled persons in Cameroon.
Dr. Ako, we have people with doctorate degrees. Some have defended professors. Some are they helpless?
They are helpless, Mr. Leo.
They
are
how
helpless.
Can they be?
I said they are helpless when it comes to having an independent opinion or views. And I'm just telling you that a lot of them cajole politics to get into the places or those top positions we have been saying here. And that is where we have a problem, because some of us who maybe are coming here, it takes you a lot to live within a council of colleagues, and you find intelligent being telling you that it is not what you are doing, but that we have to do things otherwise. So they always act as instead counselors to you. And it becomes embarrassing that I am even intimidated by the immediate environment that you are working because of your opinion, because you decided to inform Cameroonians. In what platform I had equally to tell somebody that we are not here to cajole. We are here to inform Cameroonians of the realities of what Cameroon needs. And this is where we are wrong. We cannot get to Harvard. We cannot be from Oxford. We cannot get to Cambridge, and we come back to Cameroon. Your brothers and sisters who are in Oxford or Harvard, back in their various countries, are doing great things. I mean, they're doing marvelous things. They have taken their country from one economic crisis to another, create jobs for the nation, while you are there toiling and amassing. Just imagine that Cameroonians negotiated funds to construct the Olympic Stadium. We are passing 10 years in the rank of intellectual at the presidency of the Republic. And I insist, Olembe is just less than a kilometer from the presidential palace. And none of them have the courage to observe that work there every morning before getting to job. It tells you the level we have reduced ourselves, because they will tell you that it is not my job. But the same people, remember, I can quite remember in 2016, the head of state at his end of year address asked the question, why is it that individual projects goes on successfully while state projects can't be successful? And that question, we said, It is only the head of state to answer us that particular question, because we cannot have a stadium which has even been baptized by the name of the President of the Republic. It is the lone infrastructure that is holding our rights to host the African Cup of Nations. That same issue can give us the level. Everybody will believe that it's only the presidential decision. So you hear them telling you, just to give how ignorant they have been reduced to. A minister, a professor, a doctor will tell you he is working on high instructions from the head of state, even to visit a road construction, even to give instruction to teachers, even to move from Douala to Yaoundé, from Yaoundé to Boya. A minister will tell you that I am here by the powers bestowed on me by the instruction of the head of state. That's just to give you that all what comes out from his mouth is not his speech. That the speech in his mouth was cooked and cultured to him for him to represent the head of state. The head of state is number one player in football. He selects the national team players. The head of state is the one that recruits in the army. In the NAM, he chooses. The minister, he named them and give them missions. You can imagine too, we spoke here during the evaluation of the major national dialogue. People were to evaluate what has been done so far. We were told as a follow-up committee on high instruction, it was still the head of state that convoked the commission to evaluate how far we have implemented the decision of the major national dialogue. The same meeting was being attended by professors and doctors, intellectual we are calling here. You can imagine how politics can reduce the brain of a nation to roadside puppet. Those who sing and chant songs, not the word still. That you can imagine somebody can hold flags, somebody can clap, waiting that the head of state would pass some minutes ago. When you see what goes on with civilized societies, you can imagine what is happening in Cameroon. It is totally humiliating with the elites, with the intellectual class of our people. There is a need for us to come out of this box. No. I have asked several times.
Cameroon is unique now.
That it is not unique. How can Cameroon be unique, Mr. Leo? I cannot be. Yeah, defended a PhD at the University of Oxford, and I found a friend giving a solution on how to take his country out of debt. And in Cameroon, we encourage borrowing when we don't even produce anything internally. 60 years after independence, we are importing soap. We are importing red oil. We are unable to stand independent. But we have the highest economies. People will tell you that they were in Sorbonne. A lot of them are in the government. People will tell you that we were at London School of Economics. Where are the economic solutions to come out of this? It is aching, because I believe that Cameroon, if Cameroon is unique in real, as you are saying, Cameroon is African in miniature, which you find all the intellectuals and, I mean, the nectar of knowledge in its doing. We need to find people. The advisors to the presidency, the president of the republic would have been at the top flight. In Washington, I want to tell you that when we call Washington, get to the White House, the people you call them at the White House as president, they are just 1/3 of those who make up decision in the White House. There are people deep. You don't even see them on cameras. Those are the people who define the policy of the state. These are the intellectual class. And that is why America is made great. We need to see in action.
Dr. Ako, we need people like you to go closer to the president so they can advise them.
Mr. Leo, I can never get to the president even now. Okay. There will be no possibility. I will insist. Okay, they need us to come here. It's not complex. It is not complex. They made it complex. Just imagine the next morning that I appear at the presidency that I wish to find some time to talk with the head of state. I'm sorry, you might be the last time you may be seeing me. A lot of that has happened. And we need to be honest here. The president, I'm telling you, just imagine, when you are a leader, get closer to your people. Okay. If Emmanuel Macron, I'm telling you, even though the act was not good, that he was given a slap by a common pedestrian, it gives you the idea of leadership in two different environments. Okay. That in another place, the president is closer to his people, but here, just imagine, you see military standing to block the passage of the leader. That is supposed to be serving a particular group of people.
Dr. Ako, must we seize the mic from you?
No, it's okay, Mr. Leo. I'm telling you now, when issues are sensitive, at times I come out from my zones. It's always...
Hello, fellow panelists. It's a shame that Cameroon is the only country in the world where I have seen professors and PhD holders clamoring for political appointment rather than dishing out knowledge in classroom and carrying out research. Today, the Nobel Peace Prize for Medicine was awarded to a university lecturer for his contribution to research. Terence is writing from Limbe, but is that where the trap is? Politics?
The trap is not in politics. I'll try to explain something. I hope that you listen to me and you get it.
Mm.
Let's take a child that has just been born and is going to nursery school, primary school, secondary school, university, and is being taught formally and informally and so on. The child acquires a certain baggage. Now, what is the purpose of education? The purpose of education, it brings principles, that is, exposes you to principles that tells you principles that tell you how the world functions, how things function. Okay. So technically, education causes enlightenment. Okay. Enlightenment means you have the light. That light, another word for light is truth. So education brings to us the truth about things, the truth about issues, the truth about people. So it's about truth. That is what education does. You are in darkness, but education brings you to a point where you are enlightened. That enlightened means you have the truth. That truth, the opposite of truth is a lie. And therefore, when you go through life, you have truth and you have life. And not truth and lies. Now, you are faced with issues where you have to use your judgment based on your education and enlightenment to tell what is a truth, what is truth from lies. But the unfortunate thing is, people have gone to school. Either they did not understand the principles and how things work, but or they understand them very well, but they have traded the truth for money, positions, power, ego, and so on. The Bible says, know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. It doesn't matter in which sphere of life you are dealing with, that truth remains. And I tell you what, there's something about truth that's very interesting. If we have 10 thieves who go somewhere and break into a house and steal, and then after that they share the booty, and let's say that the head of the head of the gang wanted to give his own share to one of the thieves to keep. Do you know that he's going to look for someone who speaks the truth among the 10 thieves, at least the one he trusts most? So it's about truth and trust. That's what drives the world. Even the thief, even the worst criminal would always, when he is looking for an ally, he's always looking for someone who would stand by that truth in his interest. I mean, in the sense that if I give you something of mine, you are going to keep it and you give it back to me, and you're not going to steal it from me. So when we are talking about intellectuals, whatever, all these complaints, is a war of truth versus lies. That's the bottom line. And that's why all truth is not only in the universities. That's why our mothers who have been educated informally are people who have been educated informally and know the truth, will tell you the truth in spite of the fact that they have no certificates. That is the bottom line. So stop believing in people because they have been nominated and they are a minister or they are a phone or they are a general or what. No, look for truth and don't respect anybody who doesn't tell you the truth. Anybody who doesn't tell you the truth is a liar, is a killer, and will destroy you. So what drives the nations and what makes things progress is truth, because it is only the truth that sets us free. So it is lies versus truth, and it's not because somebody is wearing a coat and has gendarmes running after him with a military on guard that no, that's not it. Truth is something that comes from the character.
Okay, Tilarious, Atia, how do we get our intellectuals and elites genuine so that they can work in favor of the people and also work towards an end to the ongoing conflict rocking the southwest and northwest regions?
Well, I think that we should not be very quick to judge, because people are so quick to judge our brothers and sisters negatively. Like the moment somebody is appointed prime minister, we don't even give him the opportunities to work and fail before we blame him. We start blaming them even when they have not started working. So even when they do things right, people think that it is wrong. Anglophones should have the patience, the truthfulness that Dr. Nick is talking about, and the honesty to support our own, to encourage them, to push them to success. we should not have the pull him down mentality that is prevalent in our environment. When Dr. Ako says that he cannot meet President Biya, you may not be able to meet President Biya, but there are other channels through which you can write to the president. If Dr. Ako comes to Bamenda tomorrow, or is in Bamenda, or was in Boya, he would have met with the Prime Minister. And if he gives a document to the Prime Minister and it's not forwarded, he can publish it in the media. And the services of the president will get to know that there was such a document, a proposal from an intellectual like Dr. Ako that has not been treated. And things will change. We have a professor in the Northwest region who is the president of the Regional Assembly, Professor Fu Angwafo III, who is coming with all his experience and everything, the knowledge and wisdom. But then he has not been given the opportunity. The population, people are not waiting to be patient, to collaborate, to see how this person can use the existing text, can navigate his way through and get benefits for the Northwest region. We are quick to criticize. We have a level-headed individual who is the public independent conciliator, Simon Tanfu. Has somebody gone there to complain about an issue and the solution have not come? No. We stay back, we complain, we cry without exhausting the existing environment, the existing institutions before we can start complaining. So I think that Anglophones, we should support our brothers. We support them. We should support them in a positive light. We should not be supporting people, other people who are going into the pit of hell. We push them to go further and fall and die. We cannot be encouraging our brothers to pick up arms against the government. Oh, there is a CPDM regime and all of those things. No. If going into the bushes and holding guns to fight the regime was a good thing, the likes of Honorable Weaver Joseph would have been in the bushes. The likes of Bobga Harmony, Barrister Bobga Harmony would have been in the bushes. The likes of John Baakuru would have been in the bush with the boys to show that it is a good thing to be in the bush to fight the state. But it is not. It is a bad thing. If it was a good thing, the president of the defunct consortium, Barrister Gobala, would have been in the bushes to fight if the cause was as legitimate as people are trying to make it seem. But because it is not, they are preaching outside. People like Dr. Ako are preaching. They have an agenda, and they think that it is Pacific. The likes of Dr. Ngwanyam, they have another Pacific way to solve this crisis. We should put these things down and channel them to the appropriate quarters. Meet the Prime Minister. If Dr. Ngwanyam books an appointment with the Prime Minister, he will meet the Prime Minister. If Dr. Ako meets the Prime Minister, he will meet the Prime Minister and present all the proposals that we have. Because, like I said, solution to the crisis is collective. It's a collective endeavor. And if Dr. Ako is an intellectual and is not distinguishing himself from the others, then you don't expect people to come from space. We should work with what we have. And what we have now are the people that we can see. The president of the Northwest Regional Assembly, for example, is an intellectual, a professor of medicine who has come back to give back to his community. But if we are not giving these people the chance, the opportunity to deliver, how then would they deliver? So there is need for us to backpedal. In as much as there are grievances that were expressed, we should also acknowledge that there were some solutions that have been proffered. The solutions may not be the best, but then we can have better. And we should not forget that what we have as Cameroon today is the effort of people who struggled, who fought, who died for. We cannot say today that Foncha were not intelligent, or Muna or Indela and others were not intelligent enough to give us this experiment we call Cameroon today. That we want to destroy it completely, want to separate it, want to split it. And at the same time, we pretend to talk about Pan-Africanism, the need for Africa to come together. You cannot want something to come together when at the same time you are breaking it. So we as Anglophone intellectuals, we should be honest to ourselves. We should be honest to the people. It is not about being pro-CPDM or pro-government. It's about being pro-people. Because what is happening in the Northwest and Southwest regions is that our brothers are dying. Whether they are militiamen or they are soldiers or whoever, they are our brothers. They are Cameroonians. This is the force that we would have been using to construct the country. And I think that Anglophone intellectuals should gather behind their own in the Northwest and the Southwest regions, the regional assembly presidents, the public consulators, and the councillors and everybody, and see how we can make good of what we have. While asking for more.
Thank you. Yeah, Tilarious. Prof, yeah.
Yes, before I get into any other thing, I want
to... my question to everybody would be, what should yes, yeah, we are all Anglophone elites or intellectuals.
Yes, I wanted to tell my brother Tilarious that what you consider as Pan-Africanism does not mean you should refuse problems. Before African nations will come to unite, to be able to stand as one, we must individually accept our fault and in every nation solve the problems we have. If we are going to have that Africa we are dreaming of, we can't keep refusing our own problems. So when we talk about looking forward for a way to deal with this issue so that we could have so that we can have intellectuals who have a contribution to make, it is important that we keep politics aside when it comes to intellectualism. An intellectual in every community are those individuals who shape them. In fact, they are the ones who shape opinions in communities. They are the ones who direct the course of issues. If you go further, they are policy makers. They are the ones who define policies in most nations. But it's unfortunate that in our own community, our own intellectuals are individuals who are beggarly. They are beggarly because they have decided to allow politicians to define for them what they should say, when they should say, and where they should say it, which is very, very wrong. An intellectual should be the one to make the community to know what is going wrong and what is going right and how people should come out of it. We have hundreds of thousands of intellectuals in this particular nation, Cameroon, where we are still suffering from a situation, a problem that, in fact, for 5 years today, blood has been flowing on our streets. And yet, intellectuals do not have the capacity to stop it. And worst of it are those we call elites, especially the political elites, who have been completely swallowed by the political game of the nation. And these individuals, I will ask them, they should remember that they are coming from somewhere. And if we have to solve the Cameroon problem, we begin from our various communities. The question is, the community from where you come from, what contributions have you been able to make there to advance that community? Those contributions you give in your community has a lot to do with the way the youth will react when they listen to you. If many youths in your community have chosen the path to arms, it is because you failed them. You do not know how to talk to them. You have completely sidelined them. And as a result of their grievances, they have been able to go for arms. We are not supporting arms. We are not encouraging arms. But we are telling our political elites that they have failed their people. And if there is something to be done, they need to first of all repent and get back to those same communities and see how to reamend issues. We begin from there, because I'll be sincere. If we today get to successfully say, okay, if the nation gets to divide into two, we will finally divide into many nations, and we don't need mushroom nations in Africa. Because the smaller we get, the more vulnerable we become. I will tell this, Africa needs to come together for one reason. If you see any European nation, for example, France coming to Africa to come and do business with a nation like Djibouti, which is a small nation in the Horn of Africa. France does not come as a nation. It comes as the entire European Union, because they come with the force of the European Union. What they bring as an exchange currency is euro. And so, if they come to buy from Djibouti, they determine to Djibouti what Djibouti should take for what Djibouti is producing. And you do not expect them to grow economically. And that goes for every African nation.
Okay.
So we need a force together.
Okay.
And to build that, we cannot be further dividing our nations into tiny nations.
Dr. Aku, Jonaku, how do we get our intellectuals genuine and more people-oriented if they have failed this far?
Yeah, one of the things equally, just like maybe Professor Antony might have not explained well to us here, that the disintegration of nations within the same continent does not stop Africa from coming together. I want to tell you that if nations like Nigeria are facing the problems that are facing, is what we call a very large number with a very small denomination. When you can't take powers to the grassroots, there are problems of disintegration. The fact that the United States is today 51 states does not cancel in history that somewhere the United States was not up to 51 states. And that the Nigerian we find today with about 32 states started somewhere with about 17 states. So creation of states and small denomination is to take administration closer to the people, the things they complain with the central government that was large in number. When we talk of the African Union, he will realize that the African Union is more active with its various blocks, the ECOWAS, the SADC, the CEMAC region, and what I call the East African Community. So it is not because there is a general African Union that the other blocks will not exist and that nations should cease from existing. On the other hand, with your question, I am saying that the Cameroonian elite will need a rejuvenation of a new system. In the present makeup of the nation, it is going to be very, very difficult. Many Cameroonians are thinking that equally 40 years of misrule, 40 years of governance under the same policy of seeking peace to keep one single leader, that the king, there is time for us to change a king. And if there is a need to change a king, then we think that it should be a general overhaul of the present system. I have been one of those people that have been calling that even at the level of the CPDM, for us to change the mindset of the Cameroonian elite, the Cameroonian intellectual, there is need for the CPDM party to organize election internally like we have seen in many other countries. Remember, in Angola, there was one time leader that thought it was not possible again. Within the same party, they selected a member from the party, and he is now the president of that nation. We can equally see that there has been a change of policy since the new leader came over in Angola and many other countries, because we cannot say the whole CPDM elite are bad individuals. Within the CPDM people, there is a need for them to rejuvenate the nation, for people to think otherwise and make a build-up. When you look at the Chinese Communist Party, yes, people might complain, but I will tell you that within the Communist Party, you don't have mandate for a lifetime. You can see what goes on in many other countries around the world. You rule for some time, and the same party continue with a leader that was groomed and trained within the same party. Why can't we accept that if the center cannot more hold, then force or things will surely fall apart? And that is what we are saying with Cameroon. There's a lot of tension. Whoever could tell us that the East, the Central, the South region could create this tension at the CBDM reorganization of the basic bureaus, it becomes a problem that the Cameroonian elite, the Anglophone elite, we need to stand up and speak for the interests of those whom we represent. And rightly said, we can't continuously be thinking that the only elites are the political elites, the economic elites. We have Dr. Ngwanyam here is doing a lot extra with his entrepreneurship approach in trainings. And I believe within his region, within his area, he has been highly clamored and even appreciated. We need a lot of those Cameroonians who will think that really it is not about secession, it's not about separation, it's about the life of Cameroonians being at stake. And if really we are those who represent the people, there's a need for us to carry our plight. Why not call for this sincere dialogue that everybody is clamoring for? We should accept that the measure national dialogue was a whole scam being organized and orchestrated by a single group of persons, where the agenda was drafted and planned by a single arbitrator, and at the end, the resolutions have not given us. We need to be honest. I insist that we need to be honest to change the political makeup in Yaoundé, and, as I'm calling, get into a sincere, defined dialogue. I got that very strongly because Dr. Ngwanyam has promised me that a more sincere dialogue is on its way.
Dr. Nick, yes, one word for you, all of us, the intellectual.
Oh, thank you very much. One day we will get to having real intellectuals. For now, we have issues in Cameroon. There's a lot of violence going on between the rich and the haves and the have-nots. Truth versus lies. And for a long time, I've been talking about the concept of a progressive CPDM, and I have a lot of friends here who made a mockery of me, especially some CPDM colleagues who make a lot of mockery of me because they want the status quo. But you have all seen that even with the, like Dr. Akko just reminded me and reminded us, with the renewing of party organs, basic party organs, you can see that the President Paul Biya made it liberal. He tried to get these political elites and hawks off the necks of people, and then the people are able to kind of like choose their own party leaders, but some don't want to go, and so there are these fights and so on. That's what is happening. So you can see that change that is coming from the base is progressive. That's the meaning of progressive CPM. And if things begin to happen in such a progressive way, then Cameroon is going to come out of this mess. Because as the CPDM becomes progressive, all other parties are bound to also become progressive. And when the whole nation starts thinking progressively, then something would happen. But again, before we part ways, we are running out of time. Remember again that there will be a true, inclusive, respectable dialogue, roundtable dialogue. There will be reconciliation in the nation. There will be unity in the nation. There's going to be West Cameroon. There's going to be East Cameroon. The governors and SDOs will no longer be appointed. They will no longer be appointed. There will be no gendarmes in West Cameroon. You will have your own police force. And so all those things that you used to cherish, they're coming back to you. And things like bilingualism commission, you know that it's a waste of money. It will not be like that again. So many of those things that are wasting money, will take that money and use it to build classrooms. And above all, what I've been telling you is the politics is changing. The education will change, the economics will change, and the development will change, and Cameroon will move forward. Look forward to a better Cameroon.
Atia Tilarious, I'll end the show with you. One last word. The Prime Minister is going to be in Bamenda tomorrow, and as we speak, you are in Bamenda, and are you going to be meeting with the Prime Minister, and what will you be telling him?
Yes, all what the points all of us have aggregated here, and everybody on the panel seems to be scared to meet the Prime Minister to present the points and their proposals. I think that on behalf of the platform, I will present the proposals to the Prime Minister. And I think that as Anglophones, there's need for all of us to come on board and support our own. That the elites, some of them had lost legitimacy. There's need for us to see how they can regain legitimacy, come back, keep in touch with the people. Somebody talked about the elite of the South region rushing to meet protesters and see how they can get compromise. It is because the elite and the population are one. The population supports their elite, their ministers. But in our case here, it is easy for Anglophones to tag ministers as black legs and all of those things, for us to stand for agendas that are against the popular agenda. And you don't expect ministers, our elite, MPs and others to want to side with things that are not fashionable. So we have to, as Anglophones, come to a common platform, a common compromise. And I'll tell the Prime Minister that there's need to involve the bishops, the imams, people who have shown that they are independent, the likes of Barrister Tambetiku, the likes of Agobala, the likes of Tumfo Ninko Hale, and others, who can be able to go down to the grassroots and talk to the people. Because it has come to a point where the people need information, they need knowledge, they want to be informed on what steps government has taken to get us to where we are and get us out of the crisis. So it is these people who are neutral, who also played a very key role at the beginning of the crisis, to come back on board and take center stage to educate the people and explain to them that our hopes and our aspirations at some point became too high, but this is what we can aim for and this is what we can get. And I think these are the things that we have to keep doing. And that the dialogue is a continuous process. We cannot keep shying away. Oh, the Prime Minister does not have a mandate. You see what and this and that. And at the end of the day, we keep ourselves away from addressing the issues. And the same people we are complaining about, and they want to be in Bamenda. I'm very sure that the MPs we are talking about will be in Bamenda to receive the Prime Minister. I'm sure the mayors, I'm sure all the ministers we don't want to see will be there to talk with the Prime Minister. But then all those with the grey matter, the likes of Dr. Ngwanyam, the likes of Professor Mark Anthony, Dr. Ako, will not be there to present their own proposals to the head of government. So if they have, they should channel it to me, and I'll channel it to the Prime Minister and give them feedback.
I'll come and give
Okay.
by myself.
We want to thank you, Tilarious. We want to thank
you very much.
Yeah, we want to thank you, Tilarious, for being part of this edition of the program. And also to you, Professor Mark, thank you for coming.
Thank you very much, Leo. It's always an opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Nick, for coming.
Yeah, thank you, Leo. And I'm saying that it's true that the Prime Minister has been to the Southwest, is in the Northwest. But remember that before the major national dialogue held, he listened to everybody. He has a ton of things like this. And we keep talking to ourselves all the time. But when they refuse to do it, doesn't mean that they don't have the answers. They have the answers, but they refuse to do it. So listening to thousands of people in Bamenda changes nothing. There's going to be a new dialogue. There's going to be federalism. There's going to be West Cameroon, East Cameroon, and there's going to be decentralization within the state. Forget about all that is waste of time.
Dr. Nick, please. We are talking about democracy.
Yes.
That is what you want.
Yes.
But you cannot also shut others from trying to do what they have to do.
Okay, you can go and talk about it, but that's not a solution.
Yeah, you've said your own. Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Why am I bringing three or four persons on the platform?
There is Mr. Leo. Yes, everybody has his right to his opinion. And like I'm telling you here now, I cannot make proposals and give them to Atia.
I said thank you. I
cannot give my proposal to Atia Tilarious to deposit with the Prime Minister. Because like he said, a lot of those proposals are already on the table of the Prime Minister, and we are expecting a decision. We are no longer listening. 5 years after.
Dr. Ako, thank you for coming.
The pleasure is mine. Always makes one.
Thank you all for watching this evening. Unfortunately, Facebook and WhatsApp is messing us up. We hope that you'll be back tomorrow so that we can stream for you guys to watch on our Facebook page. But if you can't, if you want to be watching all the programs of My Media Prime on social media, please just go to the Play Store and download the Swecom application. Just put Swecom, you see an application, you download it. You'll be able to follow all our programs live on your mobile phones. We want to thank you all who have worked so hard to produce this edition of the program, and you who is supervising the work we do out here. Tambe Brian, stay blessed. Bye-bye.